Dreams are powerful stories unfolding in our sleep reality. They have a long history both as a source of inspiration and as a subject of intrigue. They have been described psychologically as reflections from the unconscious, culturally as messages from the ancestors, and spiritually as messages from God or predictions of the future. Most intriguing of all is the belief that maintaining lucidity and awareness while dreaming provides us with a useful stepping stone on the path to spiritual enlightenment.
So what is a lucid dream? It's a dream in which you know that you're dreaming as the dream is happening. So it's not just a really, really vivid dream that you remember in the morning. It's not a dream where you see future events and then those future events come to pass. It's not a dream in which you feel your kind of subjective sense of self being sucked out of the body and then you might be kind of floating around the room. That'd be more of an OBE, out-of-body experience. A lucid dream is specifically a dream in which you know you're dreaming as you're dreaming.
Charlie Morley has been a self-taught lucid dreamer since he was a teenager and a practicing Buddhist for the past 7 years. He began teaching lucid dreaming in late 2008. Since then, he has run a number of lucid dreaming courses internationally, including in South Africa.
For me personally, my path through lucid dreaming is directly linked to South Africa. Although I'd been lucid dreaming since I was 16, the first time that my own lucid dreaming practice became recognized as something that might be a benefit to others was while in South Africa. You know, I'd come out here to do a retreat with one of my teachers, Rob Nairn, who's a wonderful Zimbabwean-born, but now based in South Africa, meditation teacher. And I'd come out with him to do a retreat. Now, he is a death and dream specialist. After dinner one day, I managed to kind of corner him, and I asked him whether we could have a chat. And he said, yeah, we'll sit for 5 minutes. About an hour and a half later, as the sun set, we were still there waxing lyrical about lucid dreams. And he was asking me more and more questions and what were the practice I did, and he was sharing me his lucid dreams and stuff. And that was really when the first seed was planted for me to start teaching this stuff. Imagine if you became lucid right now and you realized that this was a dream. The first thing that would happen was that these barriers would be broken down. In this room we have people of different ages, different races, different genders, and because of that there's a sense of separateness. But if I was to become lucid now, I would be one with all of you. I would feel as close to a woman as I would a man, as close to somebody of 60 years old as I would of 16. Barriers would break down. So the retreat is an opportunity to engage in an intensive period of study and practice around lucid dreaming and mindfulness of dream and sleep. So lucid dreaming being training yourself to know when you're dreaming as you're dreaming, and mindfulness of dream and sleep being a set of practices which has lucid dreaming at its core, but which engages mindfulness meditation practices to stock up our lucid awareness, to stock up our capacity for mindful awareness. If we were a little bit more lucid in this state, there'd be a little bit less ego, a little bit less fear, a little bit less conflict, as acceptance, friendliness and kindness arise spontaneously, just as they do in the lucid dream. Think of these qualities of mind, acceptance, friendliness and kindness, and think about the Dalai Lama. And you think, yeah, that guy's lucid, that guy's aware in every moment. So that's the aim, is to get lucid in this life. But I'm not sure how to do that, guys. So until we get to that point, there are a series of thought contemplations and meditation and writing exercises which we found help just give you little flashes of lucidity. Just wake us up a little bit, just for a few moments to allow us to take the controls back off the habitual autopilot of which most of us run.
For over 1,000 years, Tibetan Buddhists have been practicing lucid dreaming or dream yoga as a means of approaching enlightenment. In this pursuit, they have developed elaborate techniques for inducing lucidity and gaining mastery over their dreams. But lucid dreaming practices are not restricted to Buddhists.
Although dream yoga was most famously pioneered in Tibet by Tibetan Buddhists, you find lucid dream practices and dream work practices in pretty much every tradition. The Sufis, for example, have got practices all around conscious sleeping and lucid dreaming. In fact, in Orthodox Islam, you find our first dream dictionary, an interpretation of dream symbology. Within Christianity, the early Gnostic Christians, one of their central metaphors was the lucid dream. So it's not the lucid dream work is exclusive to Tibetan Buddhism, it's that Tibetan Buddhists really made it into a science. They really kind of nailed this practice as something that could lead to awakening in the waking state and also something that could be taught to others.
Fundamentally, what the Buddha said is, we are all already enlightened beings, and we've bought into a deluded notion of something different. And that causes us to experience what we bought into. So if we stop just there, the Buddhist view is we are already in a dream. This that we call reality is already a dream, and the actual reality is our enlightened nature. So the Buddha, for example, is called the awakened one. He woke up to the illusion of this dream.
If we train to be lucid in our dreams, spontaneously we challenge illusion because we see, what I thought was real is in fact an illusion of my own mind. And secondly, we challenge ignorance because we see, hang on, what I thought to be real is in fact not real. I now know more than I did. I am closer to experiencing the reality of the situation than I was before.
The Lucid Dreaming Workshop is held at the Tara Rokpa Buddhist Center near Groot Mariko, about a 4-hour drive north of Johannesburg. The center is situated in what was once a small farming community in a wooded valley with no television or cell phone reception.
So doing the retreat here at the Tara Rokpa Center is pretty much the perfect place to do a lucid dreaming retreat, because we've got the capacity for people to be sleeping in their own rooms, and then we've got an area which is the sacred sleeping area where they can all sleep side by side. You've got these amazing setting, it's an empowered place. You know, these great lamas and teachers come here and actually kind of bless the ground, bless the place, bless the buildings. It's a dreamy place out in the middle of nowhere, where even the place seems to support lucidity, to support awareness, to support recognition.
I was initially drawn to lucid dreaming because of a lucid dream I had. I had read about lucid dreaming briefly, did a couple of the very basic practices of just stopping throughout the day, occasionally pausing and asking myself, am I asleep or dreaming? And in about 2 weeks' time it kicked in while I was asleep and dreaming, and it was so exciting to realize the level of detail and reality within the lucid dream that I woke myself up from excitement, which is a very common experience. And since then, I wanted to find out more. I wanted to do this again and try and stay longer inside the lucid dream, and that's how I came to Charlie Morley.
Charlie's retreat is held over a period of 4 days. Each day begins with mindfulness meditation, followed by lucid dreaming teachings. After enjoying a sumptuous and healthy vegetarian meal, the course participants settle down to a guided afternoon nap.
So just close your eyes and use the breath to allow your awareness to sink into the body. Just be aware of when you're breathing in and when you're breathing out. If you can breathe a little bit deeper into the belly rather than into the chest, this will help ground you in the body. Be open to any sound, neither engaging nor rejecting it. Even noise can be silence if we open up to it. Be grateful that the sounds are keeping you in the upper echelons of sleep. Just maintain a light awareness of when you're breathing in and when you're breathing out. A lot of lucid dream practice, and definitely a lot of mindfulness of dream and sleep practice, is about not just falling asleep. We have been just falling asleep for years, for decades. So what I'm offering people is an opportunity to do the opposite. Don't fall into sleep, float into sleep, or at least abseil down into sleep. You know, the falling asleep consciously practice requires that you don't fall asleep incredibly quickly. So insomniacs love it, because insomniacs spend a lot of time in that kind of in-between state, and they take ages to fall asleep. And here's a technique that requires that. So what we do is, one of the practices, we have this anti-nap, where we ask people to take a nap, but I guide them through it with my voice and ask them not to fall asleep. Just get to know that boundary, that hypnagogic space, that transitional state of mind between wakefulness and sleep and dream, and hang out there. Because the better you get to know that space, the more likely you are to be able to abseil, float, surf down into the dream and recognize it with lucidity. Be aware of the contact points between your body and the ground beneath you. Visualize the shape of your body. Now bring your awareness from the external body to the internal. See if you can feel your heart beating.
When we dream, we find ourselves in complete worlds, as richly detailed, moving, and impressive as the world of waking life. The ability to create these worlds is the natural endowment of the human mind. This freedom, hard to imagine in our highly constrained waking reality, is astonishing, exhilarating, and inspiring. The laws of physics and society are repealed. The limits are only those of the dreamer's imagination. Yet, as fascinating as this dream world may be, it is the use of dreams through lucidity that is truly important.
Lucid dreaming is a form of mind training in which we train our minds to recognize the dream as we're in the dream. Like all forms of mind training, the point is to strengthen our capacity for mindful awareness, to be more aware, to be more awake, to be more present. Not only in our dreams, but in our waking states as well. I spoke to Lama Yeshe Rinpoche about this and asked him, you know, to really condense this, to really sum it up into one point. And he said, more awake, more aware. More aware, more kind. More kind, that's the point. And that is the point of all mind training, of all spiritual practice, is kindness. Every time you have a lucid dream, you are strengthening your capacity for mindful awareness, not only in the dream, but in the waking state. And that mindful awareness will lead us to be more kind to ourselves and others. To be more awake, more aware in both our dreams and our daily lives is one of the greatest gifts you can give yourself and others. It's only when we're fully awake, when we're fully aware that our full human potential is realized.
According to Charlie, in addition to providing new insights into the connection between mind, body, and spirit, lucid dreaming offers a number of other benefits as well.
So the real point of lucid dreaming, some of the kind of key benefits are that once you've got this conscious access to the unconscious dream state, you can start to engage your innate capacity for healing. Really, anything that you can treat through hypnotherapy, you can treat through lucid dreaming. You know, say you've got a phobia of spiders. go into the lucid dream and you can call for spiders to come on you. And you'll have spiders all over you, all this kind of stuff. You'll feel the fright. Oh, I'm covered in spiders. But there'll be no real suffering of the fear. You can engage the phobia on your own terms. For example, let's say you want to train. Neural pathways are engaged in the lucid dream state in exactly the same way as they are in the waking state. This means that you can learn in the lucid dream.
We've all woken up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat, scared by something in our dreams. And for some people, it's a nightly occurrence. Charlie says his teachings offer a glimmer of hope for people who wake up exhausted every morning after yet another night of anxiety and fear.
One of the most direct applications for lucid dream training is as a treatment for nightmares. Why? Because if we can become lucid in our nightmare and know that we're in a nightmare as we're in a nightmare, we zoom out, our perspective changes. It's as if we've gone from being in a horror movie to just watching a horror movie. Now, horror movies are still scary, they can still make us jump, but at least we know we're not in it. So this change of perspective can help us deal with the source of the fear, the source of the nightmare.
You know, there's the funny story I always tell, so I'm going to tell it. This guy always had nightmares. And the nightmare he always used to have was he'd fall asleep, and as soon as he started dreaming, this demon would chase him. And he would spend the whole night running away from the demon. Anyway, one night he thought, this is no good, I'm not going to go on with this any longer. So the demon was chasing him, and he stopped, and he turned around, and he faced the demon, and he said, "Why are you chasing me? What do you want?" And the demon looked down at him very surprised and said, "How should I know? It's your dream." And when you really look at that and you realize the nightmare is you trying to be heard, then it's great.
You know, when I first went on retreat with Rob Nairn, I remember at breakfast someone asked him how he slept, and he said, "Oh, I had a wonderful night, full of nightmares." And I remember thinking, this guy's crazy. But you know, a few years later, I realized what he meant.
Well, nightmares, I find hugely valuable. You know, I was so disappointed when I stopped having nightmares because they are very powerful dreams and they're usually making very powerful psychological statements. And if you go into your lucid dream training, once you start having nightmares, you learn really to face your own psychological issues, particularly to face your fears.
If you can engage your nightmares with full lucid awareness, then not only do they cease to be nightmares, but they turn out to be amazing possibilities of transformation and clear seeing. And the easiest way to look at the transformation of nightmares through lucid dreaming is through something that's called shadow integration. So the shadow is a term pioneered by Carl Jung, used to describe the parts of the unconscious mind which we have denied, disowned or rejected. The shadow is our dark side, but a side of which Jung himself commented that, in spite of its function as a reservoir for human darkness, or perhaps because of this, the shadow is the seat of all human creativity. So the shadow is not evil, the shadow is not bad, the shadow is just a part of ourselves which we're unwilling to face. When we get lucid in our nightmares and we go towards the source of our darkness, the source of our fear, some people are scared that this fear will end up consuming them. But actually that's not so. It's a bit like fire. If you let fire get out of control, it will consume you, it will burn you. But if you work with fire, it can be the source of warmth and the source of sustenance for ourselves. And it's just the same with the shadow integration, the integration of the dark side of ourselves which we have unconsciously rejected, denied or disowned. To come into a relationship with the shadow is one of the most important relationships of our lives. And far from consuming us, it actually helps keep this fire within us as a source of warmth rather than a source of destruction.
Correctly explored, dreams can help to enlighten us about ourselves. Whichever way one looks at it, understanding dreaming is central to understanding consciousness. It's possible to postulate that dreams are the origin of metaphysics, in that they have exposed humanity to alternate worlds of existence and have opened up the possibility of a spiritual body existing apart from our physical body. Through this understanding, we become better prepared for the inevitable moment of death.
If you've learnt to transition from waking into dream or waking into sleep consciously, your chances of being able to die consciously are enhanced, but more important, your chances of recognizing the experience that follow the death would be much greater. And that's very, very important from a Buddhist point of view.
So how do you actually learn to lucid dream? During the 4-day workshop, Charlie teaches a series of techniques and habits that need to be practiced to increase the likelihood of having a lucid dream. One of these is learning how to recognize a dream sign.
So dream signs are any aspect of your dream experience which can be used to reliably indicate that you are dreaming. So most dreams are full of them. There's nothing special about them, you know. Flying pigs, dream signs. Talking to your dead grandmother is a dream sign. Being in the house which you grew up in but in which you no longer live is a dream sign. Being naked in public is a dream sign. You know, any aspect that can indicate to you, this is a dream, that's a dream sign. And what we do is, well, first of all, you try and spot them as they happen in the dream, because then you could become lucid. But if not, you actually go through your dream diary, you go through the recalled dream and you spot your dream signs. You go, I could have got lucid if I'd have recognized that I was speaking to my dead grandmother. I could have got lucid when I recognized that a pig flew through the sky. So what we do is we create mindfulness triggers. So the next time those things happen, we will get lucid, because we set up a trigger to recognize.
The next step is to develop the habit of doing reality checks. A reality check could be something as simple as switching a light on and off, reading text, or using digital or electronic devices. Charlie maintains that it's virtually impossible to do any of these things successfully in a lucid dream. Another reality check is trying to repeat the same action twice.
The one that I like to do is to look at my hand. If I think I might be dreaming, I look at my hand, I look away and I look back again. And on a second look, the hand will change in some way 95% of the time. The reason for this is that dreaming is a right brain dominant activity, but the file for detailed pattern recognition is stored in the left brain hemisphere. So if I try and replicate a detailed pattern twice in quick succession, the dreaming mind struggles to do it. It doesn't quite have the computational power, leading to a close but incomplete rendering. So I'm in a non-lucid dream and I find myself in a forest. And I walk through this forest, still not lucid. I'm walking through this forest and I'm crunching the leaves under my feet, walking through the trees, and then the path opens up into a clearing. And I look around this clearing, still totally non-lucid, and then I see something. Complete dream sign. I see a fire extinguisher stuck up a tree. Bright red fire extinguisher there in front of me. And I'm like, no way. That doesn't happen in reality. How did the fire extinguisher get there? I must be dreaming. I do a reality check, look at my hand, look back again, comes back positive, and I know I'm dreaming. I'm now lucid.
Perhaps one of the strangest techniques that Charlie teaches he calls, unsurprisingly, the weird technique.
The weird technique is doing reality checks during the day. So as you go around your daily life, anytime something weird happens, anytime you experience deja vu or kind of glitch in the matrix, or someone says something at the same time as you, you think, that's weird. Am I dreaming? You ask the question and then you answer it with a reality check. Now, of course, I know that I'm not dreaming, but what I'm doing is I'm creating a habit of doing reality checks anytime I see something weird. So that when I go to sleep at night and something weird happens in the dream, I habitually do a reality check, but this time the hand changes and I get lucid.
The mild technique was developed by a leading lucid dreaming researcher called Stephen LeBurge.
The mild technique, or mnemonic-initiated lucid dream, is a lucid dream induction technique that uses prospective memory, visualization, and autosuggestion, or self-hypnosis, combined together to allow you to become lucid within your dreams. The way it works is this. You wake up in the early hours of the morning after an extended period of sleep and dream, and you recall the dream you were just having.
Charlie suggests that you open your dream diary and write down in detail as much of the dream as you can remember. He says that you shouldn't analyze it or think about how crazy it may sound. Just write it down as it comes back to you. Finally, he says, go through it a few times until you know it off by heart.
Once you've done that, put the dream diary away, turn off the light, get back into bed. Enter the hypnagogic state. Once you're in the hypnagogic state, you set your intent, which in this case is strong motivational intent around, next time I'm dreaming, I remember to recognize that I'm dreaming. Next time I'm dreaming, I remember to recognize I'm dreaming. Once you've set that intent very strongly, you now visualize yourself back in the dream that you were just having. So you visualize yourself back in that dream as much as you can. But this time, you imagine yourself becoming lucid within that visualization. You have the aha moment of, oh, I'm lucid, within a hypnotic-induced visualization of the dream you were just in. That's the real crux of the technique.
I will remember my dreams. 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 I will remember my dreams.
On the lucid dreaming retreats, we actually break up the sleep cycle into sections, giving us more chances to engage the lucid dream practices. So what we do is people go to sleep about 10:30, then the first wake up is at 4:30 in the morning.
Over the next 10 minutes, course participants come stumbling in. The accommodation is scattered all over the property, so for some it's quite a long trek in the pitch dark. And bear in mind, this course took place in the middle of winter, so for those who found it difficult to climb out of a warm bed, it was no easy task. Still, they were here for a purpose, and most of them managed to drag themselves into the meditation hall. But why wake up so early?
If you fall asleep at night just once, you give yourself one chance to remember your dreams, one chance to get lucid, one chance to spot dream signs and reality checks. However, if you break up the night into 3 or 4 chunks, you triple or quadruple the amount of chances you have for lucid dream practice.
At 6 a.m., while it's still pitch dark outside, the wake-up gong is rung. and participants sleepily roll over and record their dreams in a dream diary.
Keeping a dream diary is really fundamental to lucid dreaming. I mean, you can have lucid dreams without keeping a dream diary, without regularly recalling your dreams, but it's much more unlikely. And even if you were having lucid dreams, you probably wouldn't remember them because you aren't keeping a dream diary. So one of the fundaments of lucid dream practice is every morning or in the middle of the night, whenever you wake up, write down your dreams, get to know your dreams. Now, this isn't because we want to interpret the content of the dreams, although that can be very interesting. For lucid dreaming practice, the reason we write down our dreams is because we want to get to know the territory of our dreaming mind. What's going on there? What sort of dream signs can we spot? What opportunities for reality checks are there? Get to know your dreaming mind, because the better you get to know it, the more likely you are to recognize it when you're in it, and thus become lucid.
Then it's back to sleep again, hopefully to experience the thrill of a perfect lucid dream. The new day begins gently at the Tara Rokpa Center, the silence broken only by the sounds of nature. The course participants awaken slowly and are given time to reflect on their dreams before they fade away. For some, the recollection is vivid and unmistakable. For others, the dreams are vague and distant, and they seem unsure whether the dreams were lucid or not. But Charlie says it's not quite that simple, as there are spectrums of lucidity, and he has developed innovative ways of illustrating the various stages of the lucid dream.
What we're going to do is to demonstrate how the lucid dream state works by using this wall as the lucid dream. So I'm fully awake over here, and I'm getting drowsy. Where am I now? Hypnagogic, so it's all getting very drowsy. The hypnagogic imagery is here. I'm swaying, I'm watching the imagery. I'm approaching something. What am I approaching? The drop. And this is cool because we've got a little drop here as well. So I'm just in the dream. I'm starting to recognize. I might be spotting a dream sign, doing a reality check. Here's my dream sign. There's a little dog who sounds like a pig. So I think reality check. I do it. The hands change. Bam, I'm in the lucid dream. So in this state, why might I fall into non-lucid dream when I'm in the first stage of lucidity? So it would be something kind of attractive in the dream, something I would hyper-associate with. So I see Angus, and I think, oh, well, Angus, I'd love to dream about Angus. And suddenly I'm in a non-lucid dream about Angus. So this is one option. Or I could be here, and what's my other option? Why would I fall into wakeful awareness when I first step onto the lucidity beam? Yeah, too excited. So I'm here, I'm in the hypnagogic, I'm approaching the drop, I've made it through the drop, I'm in the lucid dream, oh my God, I'm in a lucid dream, I'm in a lucid dream! I get too excited and I wake up. So we need to somehow take the drop, get onto the lucidity beam, and enter full lucidity. So right now I'm a few steps in and I'm fully lucid. So this is where I'm engaging volitional influence and interaction with the dreamscape at will. So this would be where I'd be flying through the sky, where I'd be engaging visualized healing, where I'd be integrating the shadow, fully lucid. And I could step all the way through this, all the way through the lucid dream, having a really lovely lucid dream, and then we walk off the end of the lucid dream, and what's happening now? Hypnopompic. I'm resting in the hypnopompic. I stay here, you can practice your mindfulness meditation, and if you want, you can back to the lucid dream.
According to Rob Nan, the hypnopompic state is even more valuable than the lucid dream itself.
You have your last dream of the night, which is usually the fifth dream cycle. You would classically come out of that into the first stage of waking, where you know you're awake but you haven't yet begun to think, and typically the essence, the flavor of the dream will infuse that state. And that's called hypnopompic. So you're awake, but you're not yet active, you're not yet thinking, so your mind is very relaxed, very open, and in that state, much more profound psychological exploration and experimentation and change can be affected than in any other state I know.
Human existence is a fascinating dance between waking, sleeping, and dreaming. Buddhist teachers tell us that most of us traverse these three states in mindless oblivion. The ultimate purpose of life, they say, is to transform this dance into one of awareness and focused clarity.
We sleep for a third of our lives. So for most of us, that's approximately 30 years. 30 years we spend asleep, unaware, unconscious. I'm not even 30 yet. But if you told me that my life plus 2 years would be given up to non-awareness, to unconsciousness, to a habitual blackout that we call sleep, I'd ask for my money back. And yet we buy into this. We accept it, we readily engage it. We've even got terms like sleep like a log. How did you sleep? Oh, I slept like a log. Oh, I didn't remember anything, complete blackout. No. We need to sleep like trees. A log is a dead piece of wood. Don't sleep like a log. We need to sleep with awareness, with presence, with mindfulness. Does that mean we get less sleep? Poorer quality of sleep? No. That's the paradox. You bring mindful awareness into your sleep, you sleep better. Why? Because you learn how to sleep. Lucid dreaming allows us to make some use of the 30 years of our life that we spend asleep. It allows us to spend some of that time recognizing our human potential and exploring the essence of our dreaming mind. The great thing about lucid dreaming is that it's super accessible. There's no equipment to buy, there's no club to join. All you need is sleep and dreams. And if you sleep, you dream. And if you dream, you can lucid dream. For lucid dreaming to become a real part of your life, you need to create some new habits in the way you sleep, the way you dream, and the way you approach the nighttime. One of the easiest ways you can do this is to look at the state of your bed. For a lot of people, our beds become our office space. You know, for 2 hours before sleep, we end up there, we're on our emails, we're watching TV, we're arguing in bed, all this kind of stuff. The bed should be like our meditation cushion. The only time you sit on the meditation cushion by your shrine or whatever, or if you're doing yoga on a yoga mat, is when you're engaging in spiritual practice. And that's the same for our beds. Create a shrine around your bed, create a ritual around going to sleep. That's a really good tip.
One of the highlights of the workshop was when the participants eagerly shared with others their very first encounters with dream lucidity.
So our second dream circle. So I'll feed around the left as always and take a few minutes to let us know how your night was. This is the time to get it off your chest, guys. If you want to have a moan, and, oh, I couldn't sleep at all and there were snorers and all this kind of stuff, bring it to the circle and it will dissolve in the shunyata empty circle. So rather bring it here than holding anything for the rest of the day. It's all good. It's a safe space. Okay.
I had 3 moments of lucidity. So the first one, I was in the situation where my life was threatened, and there was suddenly a mirror in front of me.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I must be dreaming. And then I shouted out to the mirror. I stuck my hands out and I said, I'm lucid in my dream.
Yes.
And and then the guy with the knife faded away. And then I went straight back into the same dream, carried on with that until the threat stage got big again, and there was another person with a knife and I was in a very narrow corridor. And I said to myself again, I'm lucid in my dream. and then I moved the person to the side and went through a door and carried on with the dream. And then the third time, it was still in the same dream, a wall popped up in front of me and it had all these crystals, and I said to myself, I'm dreaming, I need to take a crystal and put it in a teapot.
As you do. As you do.
So that might have been a sign. But then, you know, so then there was nothing else after that.
Okay, so great stuff. The lucidity flashes you were having were great. They were stable. You know, you became fully lucid and you engaged the dream with volitional influence. The thing that kept coming up was it was fear that was getting you lucid. Now, interestingly enough, most people's first lucid dreams start as experiences which could be likened to nightmares. In fact, I think it's about a third of all lucid dreams start as nightmares or experiences of fear.
The first 6 hours was a deep sleep, no dream recall at all. I woke up very quickly with the alarm.
I was actually very aware of that transitional state between being awake and, you know, asleep.
During the night, I took a long time going to sleep, but I did sleep, but lots of flashes and nothing tangible, lots of images.
You know, the thread was almost there. It was like I could just about touch it, and I had touched it, but I just couldn't unravel that.
It felt like a freezing cold body, like got into my sleeping bag. And then when I turned to look at it, it was headless. And then I jumped out of the sleeping bag, and I was like, geez, that's like strange. And then the head started talking, and I'm like, that must be a sign, a dream sign. And as I got excited that I might be becoming lucid, then I woke up, and it was like, oh no, dude, why?
I'm kind of worried because my dreams seem to be so much like reality. They don't have weird things going on like fire extinguishers in trees and headless chickens and headless bodies and that sort of thing.
I had a long period of dreaming. Then for some reason I looked at my hand and I was like, am I dreaming? And I saw this big like balloon hand. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm lucid. And I thought to myself, okay, I want to fly somewhere. And suddenly everything started to manifest into that crisp detail. Yeah. And the most amazing sense of, once I got here, I was like, wow. I felt as if I'd been meditating very deeply for a long time.
For many of the course participants, the lucid dreaming workshop was a life-changing experience.
When you realize in your dream that you're dreaming, you suddenly look around and think, you know, all these people, this whole landscape is actually a fabrication of my mind. And that's a very powerful experience of kind of seeing through the illusion.
Part of my practice is mindfulness. And so to take that mindfulness through into the dream state is amazing.
When I realized I was lucid and did the reality check with my hand, I got so excited that I just decided to fly. And I flew over the house and landed in the front garden, and it was exciting, it was inspiring. But what I'd like to practice now is using it for spiritual practice.
You're constantly checking in with yourself whether you're dreaming. And a lot of the time you are actually dreaming when you're awake.
Dreaming and the dreamscape and sleep time is an important amount of time to be able to engage in spiritual practice as the more traditional waking time.
Just trying to become aware of one's dreams and making friends with them and understanding part of Charlie's teachings has really enabled me to take those teachings into my daily life as well.
I think it also helps you to see the connections between you and other people, and ultimately, although I haven't reached this stage, to see that in fact we are all one.
Just to really experience it firsthand has opened up a vast, I suppose, really centered realization of the possibilities that come from lucid dreaming.
Spiritual practice doesn't stop. You know, you can think that you've reached a pinnacle in your own life or your practice, or you think you know it all. There's always somewhere deeper to go, and there's always something more to learn.
Bubbles burst, shadows run from light, dewdrops vanish by noon without a trace, lightning roars and vanishes, and dreams leave us at dawn. To continually perceive such things as real locks us into the endless cycle of birth and death. With these words, the Buddha told his disciples to regard all phenomena as dreams. The more we recognize the falsehood of these projections, then the more readily we will recognize the dream state for what it is and live more lucidly.
The dream and waking up from the dream is a central metaphor of Buddhism. You know, not all schools of Buddhism practice dream yoga, lucid dreaming, but every school of Buddhism engages this metaphor of waking up from the dream. You know, when Buddha had his experience of enlightenment, his realization, it said that he came down to the marketplace and a man saw him, and, you know, Buddha, he'd just become enlightened, so the guy's probably radiating light and, you know, super buzzing energy. So this guy goes, wow, are you an angel? Buddha goes, no, I'm not an angel. He says, well, are you a god? He says, no, I'm not a god. He says, are you a man? Buddha said, no. And the guy's like, well, who are you? And Buddha says, I'm awake. That's the difference. Buddha, one who's awake. He who has wakefulness, the awakened one. That's the only difference. Buddha has woken up. Someone who's realized, someone who's enlightened has woken up from what? From the dream of this, from the dream of separateness, from the dream of self and other. So once they've woken up in this dream, what do they experience? Non-separateness and a complete experience of love and connectivity with everything, every person, every notion of life.